You can't beat somebody who comes straight out with no pause, no hanging around, no ums, wells, or so's. She knew exactly how she was going to answer. I think it was completely truthful. She said, "No, of course not," and that was it. I don't think she has been to jail.
All right, we are back again with Gavin Stone on part 2 of our analysis of Fiona Harvey, who is the real life person apparently being depicted as the character Martha in the new Netflix series Baby Reindeer. The character of Martha in Baby Reindeer is represented as a stalker of another character played by Richard Gadd. It's a unique scenario where we have somebody who is represented as a stalker appearing in an interview to discuss the veracity of the claims in a piece of work. So, how are you doing today, Gavin?
I am absolutely fantastic. I'm loving it. This is a fun one.
This is a fun one, and part 1 you can check out. Gavin is going to show you a link. Should be there, and you can click and check that out. But I want to communicate this we are planning to do in 2 parts, but it appears it will now be in 3 parts because we actually have pulled 34 clips out of this interview. There's so much going on. We decided to cover it all, but break it up in parts. And one advantage of this, though, is it allows us to give feedback to comments or input that we're getting from the audience. And one of the comments that came up, and has come up multiple times in different areas, is about the use of AI. In the first video, I was showing Gavin and all of you a pretty cool little AI statement analysis tool. Now, this tool is very early in development, and because it's AI, it won't always get the context. What the tool is very good for, though, is to just blanket, brute force, check off any word, term, phrase, etc. that could be of interest. That doesn't necessarily mean that it is of interest. I think that Gavin will confirm that even in traditional statement analysis, you're going to circle words and then you visit whether that has any weight or not. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah. So this is an assistance tool, but even when you're doing it manually, you will go through, you'll circle all the words, and then you'll afterwards see if they are of any relevance to the statement analysis.
Okay, and I just wanted to point that out. And very many people caught the fact that one of the examples is AI picked up the word play. And the word play can be a verb, but in the case of her statement, it was in fact a noun, as in a stage play. Now, I should have made that comment. I dropped the ball, and a part of me wanted to just cut that little clip out, even talking about it, but I'm choosing to leave it in there because I think that I need to be transparent with all of you, and I want to be. So blunders are going to stay in. I hope everybody's understanding, and I do appreciate the comments and the feedback. We also had a little bit of a sound glitch later on that I didn't catch. It's impossible for me to put sound in because of the YouTube tool without re-uploading the entire video. So it's unfortunate. All I could do is either clip it out or leave it in, but I would prefer that people actually see her expression and we do talk about it. So while she may not have the audio, we did at least discuss the expression. So I appreciate everybody's indulgence on these. We wanted to get this done and get it out, and that's why we're doing the 3 parts, is for the quicker turnaround, the editing, and we probably should get cracking, right?
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right, so we are going to be doing, I believe, clips number 14 through 26 today, and there is an awful lot. There is a distinct possibility that this individual may be troubled. We are not making fun of her. If anybody feels like we are teasing her or belittling her or anything in any way, we do not mean that to come across that way. I personally think that both individuals may be at fault to a degree in the scenario, but her interview is just very fascinating. It is not, I don't want anybody to think more poorly of her, if that makes sense.
Who do you think did?
I have no idea. I think he probably made them up himself. I've no idea. 41,000 emails.
Yeah. I mean, would you?
I don't know.
That's a great expression.
It is, isn't it? Very Kathy Bates kind of.
Oof.
Yeah. Sorry, I've started over.
Would you accept that someone who did that would be very obsessive about someone?
Yes. I mean, that's a lot of emails. And why now? Why didn't you go to the police at the time? Or this sort of doesn't make sense.
A lot going on there.
There is. And again, we've got this whole thing that she's talking about, this kind of, why didn't you go to the police at the time? Why now? And there's these two arguments that she's got going on, which they kind of clash with each other, because on one hand, she's saying, it's not me. I'm not the person depicted. And then on the other hand, she's saying, and these bits that were me, that wasn't what I was doing. So, it's really, really awkward. So, she's saying, 41,000 emails. Yes, it's really obsessive. But why now? Why didn't you go to the police at the time? Were they or weren't they sent? It's a bit worrying. And 41,000, we revisit this later when he asks if he thinks that the kind of the sign of somebody who's a stalker, which I think is really interesting too.
It's a lot of emails.
It certainly is.
That's for sure.
What you're saying is that proves you cannot be Martha.
Yes, and I would like to see Netflix's evidence.
Okay. So that's the weird one too, because, and it is confusing to me, because she's saying, no, I'm not, but then she's saying, yes, I am, in alternating breaths. So if she is in fact Martha, well, then there could be potentially a defamation claim if there are parts of this that are not true. One would think. But then she's not Martha. So I'm kind of confused on it. And maybe that's Netflix escape valve, is if even she can't confirm if she is Martha or not.
Mm-hmm. And bear in mind, the guy who wrote this thing, what was his name? Richard Gadd.
Yes.
So when Richard Gadd wrote the whole Crazy Reindeer play or whatever it's called, he hasn't come out since and said this is her. As far as I'm aware, there's been nothing for him to say, well, yes, it is actually her, or no, it isn't, or anything. There's not been any word from him whatsoever, is there?
I don't believe he has. And I think that he probably has great legal representation telling him, do not acknowledge at any point. And this, I'm stepping out of my depth because I am not a lawyer, but I think about it, and the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case, she did not name Johnny Depp, but it was clear enough through implication that it had to be him and nobody else. Maybe it can be said because the names are changed, et cetera, that it's not a clear enough implication. I don't know. But what's going on in the clip there, Gavin?
My mind had gone a different way, because I was starting to think about the whole thing where if she's going to claim defamation, then she would have to, in that case, say, well, look, this is me, and I'm claiming that I've been defamed through the result of this. If she's saying it's not her, then
how could she be defamed?
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I was concerned about there. But I did want to put this clip in because it contradicts exactly the opposite of what she said yesterday when we were going through the clips, and Piers Morgan said to her, when did you find out it was you? And she said, oh, I knew it was me when I put the BBC News on, and there I was.
Right. And I kind of, as I view all this again, I kind of wonder if she just hasn't settled on which way she wants to address it.
Mm-hmm.
If she wants to deny that it is her, no, not me, can't be me, I didn't do it. Or she wants to say, yes, it is me, and they in fact defamed me. But then if it is her, were some of these acts potentially criminal, and is she in jeopardy by claiming it's her? And could we be watching in real time, Gavin, that she's uncertain which way she's going to go?
I would put my money on that because of the fact that, I mean, if you look at the entire argument, and the fact that it keeps swaying from one side to the other, personally, I think she'd have been better off coming out in the first place and saying, you know what, yes, that was me. However, it's not as bad as what it looks like. There isn't 41,000 emails, if there genuinely isn't. There's 14 to 18 tweets, if that's genuinely what there was. And if that makes me a stalker, then I'm a stalker. And just said, look, I'd say that the whole thing's been blown up out of proportion. He's a playwright. He's done a bit of creative license to sell a story. Please leave me alone. Job done. But to come out and say it's not me, but it is me in this bit, but I wasn't that crazy, and it is me here, but it's not me there, and you can't have it both ways.
I think that might be a big part of this.
Yeah.
And you're 100% sure it's not you?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, there we go.
There we go.
What were you just saying? So it's not me, but it is. But it's not. It is. And I can't believe you did that. And more of this is going to be coming. It is quite literally back and forth.
Did you ever attack Richard Gadd's girlfriend because you were jealous?
No, I don't think he had a girlfriend. I think he's homosexual. But no, I have never been to his house or attacked any girlfriend or anything like that.
I love that one. So what we're going to do, I'm going to start off with the whole, says I don't think he had a girlfriend, I think he was homosexual. That, again, is that classic, a bit like what she did earlier on. She did something very similar, what we've said, the behaviour panel chaff and redirect. It's where you're just moving the spotlight off you to make people go, oh, he was homosexual. Later on, she turns around and says, he asked me to sleep with him. So, either, oh, okay, you could go all ways in this day and age.
She also choked a bit on she said sex, well, it was very interesting because she didn't flat out say homosexual clearly. It was like half swallowed. So I don't know if, she didn't like the idea of he could be homosexual, but he was supposed to be into her.
Yeah.
Pick one. Again, it's a pick one. And then you wanted to go into the end about, he's never been to his house.
Yeah. And of course, I've never been to his house or attacked any girlfriend. So she's just said he's potentially homosexual, never been to his house, I've never attacked any girlfriend or anything like that. That's the kind of minimizing and distancing language of, kind of pushing it away. Instead of turning around and saying, I've never attacked his girlfriend, or I've never attacked the girl he was with at the time. She's not being specific. It's a way of being vague and more nebulous and more distancing to keep her away from any kind of accusation along those lines.
Right. If he didn't have a girlfriend,
how can she attack it?
She couldn't attack his girlfriend, but that doesn't mean she did not attack a female at the time who was not his girlfriend. Is that where we're going with this?
Yeah, so it's just a play on words. It's what people do when they're being untruthful to kind of, it's like a subconscious buyout, as it were, to kind of say, it's almost like a get out of jail free card in their mind, I think.
I come to that, but on that point, did you ever turn up at his house?
No, I don't know. I don't know where he lived. No, absolutely not.
No, absolutely not. I love that.
Then I don't know where he lived. Again, the mixing where she's starting to say lives and then lived. or am I hearing things?
I come to that, but on that point, did you ever turn up at his house?
No, I don't know where he lived. No, absolutely not.
Okay, it is cleaner on the lived. It just seems some ways that she said that. I don't know.
Again, this goes back to your tense argument here with what kind of. I don't know where he lived. I didn't know where he lived. I don't know where he lives. There are different ways of saying this, and I think in her mind it's possibly I didn't know where he lived at the time. There's any number of different things that for her might be kind of mixing these thoughts up in her mind. I don't know where he lived. The other thing is the whole nodding thing, which we've discussed before. You know, Gavin, did you eat all the chocolate cake? No. You can see her doing that when she's talking. I think a blink rate, you've got a right old flutter going on as she's saying it. So a few signs of discomfort there. I think she did know where he lives. Is that better?
That is better. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Okay. Well, this is the fun part. We get technical while we are learning. All right. So,
but the fundamental point of this is: did you take part in this? Did you go to jail? Did you have a trial?
Of course not. Of course not.
Have you ever been to prison?
No.
Have you ever been charged with a criminal offence?
No.
Never.
No.
Nothing. So that scene is completely invented.
That's completely false, and I don't think the actress sounds like me.
Now that is, to me, the most important part of the interview that I found.
Did you take part in this? Did you go to jail? Did you have a trial?
Of course not. Of course not.
Have you ever been to prison?
No.
That's a great denial.
It's flat out.
Fantastic denial. I mean, that felt really, really truthful. No, of course, it flowed. It was free. I mean, it's the best denial is no, blah.
Exactly.
Correct?
Yeah. You can't beat somebody who comes straight out with no pause, no hanging around, no ums, wells, or so's. She knew exactly how she was going to answer. I think it was completely truthful. She said, "No, of course not." You know, and that was it. I don't think she has been to jail.
No, I believe her, and from everything I've read, because I keep reading, nobody can find a trace of her ever being sentenced or being in prison. And that is something that is findable. That's public record, somebody being convicted. Unless some miracle she was under another name and it got completely lost, it didn't happen. Now, that's a problem with this overall thing. And when I said both of these people could be lying, they're stating she was a convicted felon, essentially, in the piece. And if she never went to prison, that's a big lie. That's a big one. I'm sorry. How do you do it any other way than that? And I am wondering if they aren't playing fast and loose with the facts. It's not unheard of for these documentaries like the Marilyn Manson hit job and others. And they may be using, and I'm going to put this up on the screen. This was in the movie Fargo, the Academy Award winning movie by the Coen brothers. That screen also, a variant of it, is in all of the seasons of the TV series Fargo. And notice that it does not say based on a true story.
We can't see this. We can still see.
Gavin, I'm putting in later.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, dude.
Notice that it does not say based on a true story. It says this is a true story. Why haven't they been sued? That was fictional. I think that there is actually a bit of creative license where people can put something out, call it a true story, and especially since the names were changed, I don't know. But this is a big question, and I really want to know from all of you, what do you think? Because it feels like it should be defamatory. but I don't know if there's any case. What are your thoughts, Gavin?
I really don't know. I mean, first off, is there any law that states that just because you've said something is a true story, it has to be a true story? Because obviously in the instance of Fargo, it wasn't. So, I mean, just because you've declared it, does it necessarily mean, you are bound by law for every single detail to be 100% factual?
Bing, and that might be it, because they didn't say it was factual. They said it was true. And I don't know if you're familiar with it, but Jordan Peterson, the world famous guy now, got in a huge debate with Sam Harris about what is truth. And it's excruciating to listen to two men argue for 2 hours about what is truth. But the variant of it in today's society, and I can't stand it, but how many times have you heard, "This is my truth"? So are they taking that license with that philosophy of, this is a true story, this is my true story, you have to believe me? And by not saying, for example, that it is factual, maybe factual would burn them, but maybe truth, which is very sad to consider, has become less relevant.
Yeah. And there is another possibility here, and this is just wild speculation, but maybe when he was writing this, he had every intention of taking her to court, going to court, and believed that she would more than likely get a custodial sentence. So when it was written from start to finish and handed over to Netflix, he'd kind of written the end before it happened. And Netflix has gone, yeah, this is brilliant. Let's do this. Let's go for this. And then all of a sudden, he gets a check for $5 million through the post and goes, "Do you know what? I'm not too bothered now whether she walks or not. I've got a nice little nest egg, and I don't care how it ends. I'm happy. I've been paid, and job done." So maybe at the time, it was in his mind what was going to be a whole and complete true story. However, it changed, or the kind of, reality around it changed because of the outcome.
That might be. I'm going to call him a sketchy dude still then.
Oh, he probably is.
I don't write down and predict the future tomorrow and say, well, I think that's going to happen. Oh, she's going to confess? She's going to acknowledge? I mean, what? And you're going to write that out? No. There are some very real problems. So while we're sitting here, looking into what she said, I, in many ways, would like to find an interview with him talking about each incident. And I would like to see what his veracity is. I do think something went down between them. No question.
Oh, yeah.
No question. But I feel like there's more to it. Piers Morgan has said that the guy's admitted leading her on. The guy admitted he was on drugs much of the time. And again, I'm not trying to shame somebody for being on drugs. I'm not trying to shame them for that. It's just a matter of reliability and consistency. And if you are on drugs a lot, then you are not as reliable of a witness.
Yeah.
Just
no, that's been proven, time and time again. But I mean, like I say, it is at the end of the day a story. And when he was writing that story, maybe that was how he perceived it was going to end. So
yeah.
And either that or Netflix looked at it and they may have turned around and say, "Yeah, we love all this, but we don't like the ending. We're gonna give the viewers some closure." And I know from I've got a lot of friends who are authors. When it comes to things going to TV or film, they have very little say on what finally ends up on the screen.
And you know what? Let's be honest. From all accounts, and I haven't seen it yet, it's supposed to be very well written, very well acted, a tight, put together little package. But I have one big question for you. If I said, here is a series that's on Netflix and it's about blah, you'd be like, okay, maybe you might be interested. Now, if I told you, Gavin, this is a true story, and then I share the exact same thing, are you going to be more interested in it?
Yeah, the interest levels are going to go up because it's something that has happened.
Mm-hmm. Or what you think has happened. So I can't help but think, let's market this bitch out. And by putting it as a true story, that draws the major interest from people. But tell us what you think.
I would be interested if there has to be a minimum percentage of something to be true. I mean, yeah, it would be definitely be interested if there's some kind of a legal side of that. One thing here, Fargo, you said every single episode at the beginning it said this is a true story. Now here's a little something that might be
I don't remember if it's every episode, but I know for sure that the seasons start that way.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering if, because of, and again, it might be just a wild thing that might be part of it, but it said at the beginning of episode 1, this is a true story. So up to episode 1 is true. Whatever happens after that, maybe it could be part fiction or whatever. So I don't know. Who knows? There's so many small prints involved in these worlds these days. It's hard to keep track of, where all the loopholes are.
But is it possible he was under the impression that he felt sorry for you?
No, I never got that impression at all. I got the impression that he was all out for himself, wanted to sort of control that bar, very, very inarticulate, very full of himself.
Now, was this in the 2 to 3 times she ever met him? It's just a lot.
That's it, yeah.
We're getting really, really deep personal here. Hold on.
I've never gone in that bar.
Do you wish you never had?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
How long did you know him for, Richard Gavin?
2-3 months. 2-3 months at maximum. He only worked there on certain days.
Did you always go on the days he worked there?
No, I've been in there on different days having food.
Okay, but that one is just shredding everything. Because she said she only met this guy 2 to 3 times. Just that statement right there, there's numerous occasions over the 2 to 3 months. Unless she's saying that in that 2 to 3 months, it was only 2 to 3 times?
Well, earlier on in the exact same interview, she said she'd met him 5 or 6 times. Now it's gone to 2 to 3 times. Not only that, it's 2 to 3 months. And so there is a bit that I believe in that, because she knew him well enough, or at least knew his schedule well enough to know he worked certain days. So that in itself is very kind of the action of somebody who, if she's become aware of his timetable, his schedule, that is concerning behaviour. And the way she would become aware of his timetable is by drinking in there repeatedly and knowing the days he did work and the days he didn't work and being on there in the opposite week. So I believe when Piers Morgan said, did you go in there only on the days you worked? And she went, no, I've been in there on other days as well. I genuinely believe that was the case. I reckon she went in there, had a lemonade, he wasn't working, so she went out again and tried again the next night.
Or she was a regular. I mean, that it's entirely possible that she just went there all the time. I don't know where she lives. I mean, I don't know what the town is, but if, let's say, it's a small town in Scotland, maybe that's the local watering hole, and everybody goes there.
It's actually it's in London, and it's quite not only a like kind of popular place. I mean, we are talking some of the big names in the world have drank there. I mean, Kirsten Dunst, the actress, used to be a regular in there. There's a guy off Talk TV, I forgot his name, but he used to drink regularly in there. It is used by a lot of the kind of big London well-known people. So it is somewhere that is the bar to be.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go.
Boyfriends, yeah,
with men. I mean, if you don't mind me being pure,
I'm heterosexual.
Yeah,
heterosexual. It almost ended with a question, but she was not very comfortable with that question. I felt like that water was a barrier. What say you?
Yeah, that seems to have happened a few times. Whenever I mean, she's like, "What are your grades?" and she goes, what? It's one of those things. He asks her a question and she uses that water as a tool to kind of buy her some time to think about how to respond. And that has happened on a couple of occasions. We'll see it again soon as well.
But if you have 350 voice messages and it's you,
it doesn't mean the drama is true.
Oh, that's acknowledging the voice messages.
Yeah. So there we've got this whole thing of it wasn't me. But if he's got 350 voice messages off you and that's proven to be true, yeah, but that doesn't mean everything else is true. So, so here we go again. It wasn't me, but it was me. But the voicemail bit might be true, but it doesn't mean everything else is true. But it still wasn't me. The amount of flip flopping going on here is unbelievable with what she's saying.
And this is part of why the interview was so well done, because
he did a fantastic job.
He keeps her there and keeps asking over this period of time, which is allowing, I don't know, I'm trying to think of, it's like allowing it to bloom in a way.
He's definitely given her enough rope to hang herself, that's for sure.
Here's my point to you, is that these are easily provable things.
Yeah.
He's either got them or he hasn't.
Yeah. I mean, we'll be asking for disclosure of that. But,
and the emails, obviously, there'll be an IP address, and that if that leads to you.
Yeah. I mean, my point is, though, even if that were true, I didn't lunge at him across the bar. I didn't sexually assault him in a canal. I didn't go to jail.
I understand.
So,
but here's my point to you.
Yeah.
Here's my point to you, Fiona. And I'm not trying to catch you out.
So, again, we're on about these emails that she didn't send. Now, all of a sudden, he's mentioned, about the emails again. She says, but even if that was true, I didn't lunge at him across the bar and I didn't sexually assault him. So there's more and more things that are coming out here where, she's going from one story to another, and 1 minute denying sending any emails, then sending some emails, then even if those emails were sent, that doesn't mean I did this, so this is kind of happening a lot, as he's unpicking her story bit by bit very cleverly, because at no point is he going back and saying, earlier you said blah, 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 blah. There's no accusations from Piers. He's letting us do the work for him. He knew this was going to happen. He knew the minute he put this interview out there that loads of people across the internet would all of a sudden be picking it apart.
Well, and let's go into that for a second, Gavin, because you've done a lot of interrogations, and isn't what he is doing textbook in methodology, almost like the Sharp method of just talking to her and asking her, not like he is against her, but like it's the two of them. He's her friend in a way, and he's giving a chance to, help him understand as her newfound friend what all these other people out there are thinking. So the same way as a police interrogator would be with a suspect in the interrogation room saying, help me understand what is happening. We've got to tell these guys something. Isn't that what he's done a fantastic with the public?
Job. Yeah, so he's got a lot of push me, pull me going on with what he's doing. So he will kind of push a little bit and turn around and say, well, maybe you did this, maybe you did that. And when the pressure builds up and you can see that she's getting a bit kind of, I'm not liking what's happening and where we're going with this, he'll then cool it off and he'll go the other way and he'll say, well, if Netflix were lying, then this is very defamatory towards you. And she's going, yes, exactly. And he brings her back on side again. He wins her over again. And then he starts pushing down the other route of, well, this behaviour, was that you? Did you do this? So brilliant technique of how he's worked it and kind of appeared to be completely unbiased and kind of neutral throughout the entire thing, whilst, like you say, asking the questions what the public want to know, but also keeping her on side.
And asking them again.
Again. Later on. Which was brilliant.
Lot.
I knew this guy. I didn't contact him a lot. I've never said that in this interview at all.
No.
There we go. Now we know him.
I knew this guy. I didn't contact him a lot. I've never said that in this interview at all.
No.
So this is somebody who she didn't know.
Barely.
That she's met. Yeah,
didn't know.
Met 2 or 3 times.
Knows him.
Then she met 5 or 6 times. Now somebody I knew. And later on you'll see that apparently they were all friends. So there's this is probably 4 or 5 different versions we've had now.
Oh, we had the banter clip earlier, right?
Yeah.
Remember she bantered.
Oh, that was right. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we were all friends. We had banter. We were cheering him on. So this is somebody she's met 2 or 3 times. Then she's met 5 or 6 times. Then she doesn't know. Then she does know. So there's a lot of, and then she's having banter with him. This story keeps on changing. There's nothing accurate about anything that if she'd have sat there and said, I've told you this 2 or 3 times, and he asked her again later on, how many times have you met this guy? How well did you know? Told you already. I only met him 2 or 3 times. It'd have been a lot more believable. But with each question, she's come out with a completely different answer.
agree. I discovered it was me when I saw the BBC breaking news baby reindeer show at the Edinburgh Festival.
Now it is her.
Yeah, now it's her again. I discovered it was me. So if you remember at the beginning earlier, we did the clip where she's that it cannot possibly be me, or Piers Morgan says, it can't possibly be you, can it? She said, no, it can't possibly be me. Now she's saying, I discovered it was me. Baby reindeer, not crazy reindeer. Sorry.
By the way, Gavin, do not feel bad. When I put this video out, for some reason in my head, I had it as bad reindeer instead of baby reindeer. And it's sitting out there for over an hour and a half. And the title is saying bad reindeer. In the description is bad reindeer. Fortunately, I think we said baby reindeer in the interview, but my brain was fried. And I'm going, oh, jeez. It's like, no wonder people aren't finding it. They're looking for baby reindeer, and I have a video called Bad Reindeer. Thank you very much, but we're all professionals here, folks.
Oh, yes. People are going to be thinking it's a spin-off of Bad Santa.
I kind of was, because I thought I didn't even know. I was like, is this like a goofy Christmas movie? I don't. Anyway, like I said,
do you think, Fiona? Do you think if somebody did send someone, 41,000 emails,
I think that's excessive. Obviously,
would that mean someone's stalking someone?
Well, yes and no. I mean, it could be could be your wife.
Is it real? Yes, that is excessive. So would that be well? Yes or no? It could be your wife. It's like, I have never sent my wife at any point of our relationship. We've been married for over 25 years. Even in the quote honeymoon period, when your communication is highest, I have never even sent a fraction of that many emails. How about you?
No, I 41,000 emails is a phenomenally huge amount. I mean, it's just like massive. I'd send emails backward and forward to my wife because she does a lot of proofreading and grammar and that kind of thing. She checks on a lot of the work that I do. And even between us, I probably don't even think we're into the kind of quadruple digits. I don't even think we've gone over 1,000, and we're sending stuff backwards and forwards for work reasons all the time. So 41,000 emails over 3 years is colossal, absolutely colossal. In fact, it wasn't 3 years; it was 20 months, according to Netflix. So yeah, that is.
But she only knew him for 2 or 3 months,
apparently.
So now imagine if it's in 2 or 3 months. Fire.
Oh yeah, she'd be competing with AI, with how quick you need to type. So the other thing is with this is there is this whole kind of reduction of the severity in her speech. So what you've got here, and this happens a lot with when people are being deceitful, they will play down something. So if you ask the majority of people on the planet, is 41,000 emails a lot? They will go, yes, 41,000 emails is excessive. Would you see 41,000 emails from somebody that you've met 2 or 3 times as being the behavior of a stalker or somebody obsessed? They would say, yes, I should imagine quite easily without giving it too much thought. When they ask her, and she goes, yes and no, she goes on to play that right down. Like, it could be this, it could be that,
let's keep watching. Definitely.
You may be sending emails every day about the kids or something like that. I don't know. 41,000 is a lot. That's how many a day? My maths isn't working this time of night. But it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah. That doesn't necessarily mean they're stalking somebody. They could be great friends. They could have been friends for 50 years or something.
Was he ever your friend, Richard Gadd?
No. Staff asked me that as well. No, I don't think so.
No.
That's a funny one there. That was really loaded. And I think there's a lot of emotion in that, where I think that the idea of being a friend might be in the friend zone, and she might have hated that idea. But there's also the rage that, this guy has put this thing out on her. Whether she did any of these things or not, well, that's not your friend. He's definitely not your friend now. There's a multi-part Netflix series with you potentially being represented by somebody else in a very negative light. Yeah, probably not. Probably not a friend anymore.
Yeah, probably pretty bitter feelings now. And of course, people do. I when I was younger, I fancied like kind of, Tiffany and Deborah Harry and kind of, now I get older, my tastes change, So when you're looking at this was 10 years ago or something this happened. So you're looking 10 years ago. She was in her 40s. He was probably a reasonably good looking young man. At the time, she probably did have a lot of feelings for him. 10 years later, when this whole big brush off has happened and they've had nothing to do with each other for a decade, she's completely got over it and probably, has no feelings other than kind of annoyance for the guy, or like you say, very bitter feelings. So, I reckon there's a lot of mixed emotions there.
Yeah, she definitely is not a happy camper, but folks, we will continue this in part 3 coming up. And please comment below. Please keep the conversation going. I definitely want to hear what you think, and I'm open to criticism. I'm open to your thoughts. We definitely want to know what you guys think about this, and we will see you next time.